Okay?
Hey Fido, nice Kiss shirts, and we're Strutter, and we chew them up and we spit them out.
Hi, ho, 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 everybody, and welcome to the holiday 2025 edition of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. It's your old pal Fido, flying solo this week, so let's get right into it. We're not going to waste any time with our usual hijinks and falderall, but we're going to kick it off with the t-shirt, of course. I think you know what's on my chest. Take a little peek into the eyes of the demon, just a little peek. This is the glow-in-the-dark one that came out just a couple of months ago. Really dig it. I really dig you. Appreciate you being here for this one. Week 51, can you believe it? Meanwhile, rock and roll all night and journal every day. It's a year-long guide celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan, so let's get to celebrating, shall we? Taking the Wayback Machine to October 29th. The Paul Lynde Halloween special was released today in 1976. I can't hardly believe that it was 49 years ago. Question asks, did you watch the Paul Lynde Halloween special when it first aired? If not, when was the first time you watched the special? Explain how important you feel this event was to Kiss. I did see it when it first aired, and so did a lot of people that I know. For most, it was the first time they'd seen him on TV. I'd seen him before. I'd had the bejeebus scared out of me by Gene Simmons, but I knew enough to be excited. I had to beg my babysitter to let me watch it. She was not a fan. She's a friend of my mom's, went to high school together. So, Becky Pine, this one's for you. I was just thrilled that they were going to be on TV. It was in the TV guide, of course. Anytime you saw those all caps KISS in the TV guide, it was going to be something special. Despite the fact that I was only 5, I was already way into them. It was the previous Christmas that I'd gotten Alive, and I had just gotten Destroyer with birthday money. My birthday is about a month prior, and so I was in it to win it with Kiss. Yeah, you could say it was like an Ed Sullivan moment, you know. As Ed Sullivan was to the Beatles, Paul Lynde was for Kiss. It was mass audience for them. It's really campy, really cheesy, but at the time, man, it was just magical. But it was probably the night that they got before the most eyeballs ever, you know. I mean, forget concerts, national television audience. I can only imagine what it was like in the Kiss camp, you know, in the days after that broadcast. They must have been in pretty high spirits. It was as amazing as it was for us. They must have been over the moon. Words fail. If you're watching this podcast and you haven't seen the Paul Lynde Halloween special, wow, just wow. Just go watch it. Now we come to a spot in the book where Rick jumps from October 29th to October 31st. I'm going to give you October 30th, but I had to write a question. I'll read the question and I'll explain. For October 30th. Assemble a track list from the Unmasked era to make an album that sounds like it could have been released by the OG lineup. So, Unmasked era, there's quite a difference stylistically, but there are certain tent poles of the Kiss sound, and keep in mind, these songs would require oftentimes radical rearrangements. Don't think about the production of the 80s versus the production of the 70s. Just think about the vibe, you know, the progression of the chords, the lyrics. You know, just think of that sort of level of Kissisms. I'll just run down the track list. Hot and Cold, and on the 8th Day, Secretly Cruel, Get All You Can Take, Tough Love, Radar for Love, Lick It Up, Thrills in the Night, Trial by Fire, Bang Bang You, and Little Caesar. All right, so Little Caesar, I thought it would be really cool to hear the Eric rasp transposed to the Peter rasp. Bang Bang You, again, simplicity of themes. Trial by Fire, it's just got a vibe to it. It's got, you know, it's got a tempo that just, I don't know, kind of takes me back a little bit. Thrills in the Night, man, you know, as I'm reading this, I'm wondering, was I thinking Thief in the Night when I wrote Thrills in the Night? Honestly, either one would be interesting. Lick It Up, again, it's simple, it's anthemic. Radar for Love, it's got that snaky riff in the chorus and the sort of Black Dog-esque verse. But the one that really stands out for me is Secretly Cruel. At the time, I remember even thinking, man, this has a real 70s vibe to it. So does Hot and Cold. I think that was actually, I think the demos, or the demo for Hot and Cold might even go back to the 70s. I'd be interested in hearing track lists, seeing them in the comments for this one. It's an interesting exercise. I'm surprised I came up with it. Moving on to October 31st. Back to the Rick questions. Have you ever dressed up like a member of Kiss on Halloween? Was your costume handmade or did you wear a Collegeville? Have you ever carved a Kiss pumpkin? Design a Kiss pumpkin below. Well, you know your old pal Fido doesn't design pumpkins. But I imagine if I did, it would be the back cover of Hotter Than Hell carved into a pumpkin. I've never actually carved a Kiss pumpkin. I have vague memories of trying, making the wrong cut on the star over Paul's eye and giving up on it, flipping it around and going for a more traditional do-over. I did dress up as Gene on Halloween. It was Collegeville. There you go. That was 1978. It was the Halloween that me, my mom, my aunt, and my cousin saw a UFO. That was a very Gene Simmons summer, fall. That whole year was, man. We'll get into 78 here in a minute with the next question. To November 1st we go. Rate Carnival of Souls on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best. Describe what prompted your rating. Should the band have continued with the Carnival of Souls lineup and not participated in the reunion tour? Or was the change in direction a good thing for the band? Well, now that I read it again, I had the scale transposed. 1 being the best, I would have to change my original score to 3.5. In other words, I like Carnival of Souls. If I were going to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being best, you know, like normal people do, I'd give it a 7.5. I've always enjoyed when Kiss takes that left turn at Albuquerque, and Carnival of Souls definitely was that. As far as the reunion tour, I do think that was a bit of a misstep. I do wish that Carnival of Souls had been given more of a fair shake. Maybe I would concede that a shorter tour, not just a balls out world tour necessarily, but something a little scaled back, maybe just a North American tour. I know I would have liked to seen those songs like presented and emphasized. So as far as the reunion tour, like, I don't know, with the timeline of all that stuff, even if they had just set it back, not even a year. I mean, realistically, let's say a year. Say the reunion tour didn't happen until '97. I think it would have been a success. You don't necessarily have to announce a reunion hot on the heels of the Unplugged. But yeah, I just think they should have given Carnival of Souls its due. Put a little juice behind it, and it would have a place of higher esteem in the Kiss canon. That's how I feel about that. November 2nd asked, have you ever joined a fan-created Kiss fan club? Which club was your favorite to belong to? What state, country did the club operate from? And how long did the club stay active? I only ever joined one fan club, and that was the Wax Pack. Once again, our pal Rick Howard. It's all for you, Demon. Large Marge, Pee Wee. December 2022, I believe. I was a Kiss Army guy almost from the get-go. The clubs that sprang up in and around the zines of the 80s, I picked, I don't know, like Firehouse, Kiss Force. I had my ear to the ground, let's say, but I didn't jump into those pools. It's all for you, Demon, and the Wax Pack. That was something special. And as far as how long it stayed active, I haven't gotten anything in a while. I think Mr. Howard pumped the brakes on it. I'm not really sure, to be honest. As you saw in the photo I posted, he sent out some cool stuff, and it was a great vibe. So, hats off to the Wax Pack. November 3rd asks, considering all of the fun kids from the 70s had to celebrate regarding Kiss in the fall of '78, the Marvel Super Special #2, the 4 Kiss solo albums, and Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, as well as the massive Kiss merchandise coming out at the time, what would have been the most fun part about being a Kiss fan during the fall of '78? All of it. It was so much. And it was just a great time to be alive and a great time to be a Kiss fan. Something me and Powie talk about every week. And it was like the club that so many people were in. Yeah, you had your detractors, and you had your disco freaks at school that couldn't stand Kiss, and sometimes you'd scrap about it or whatever, but me and most of my friends were on that train, and to see commercials for the dolls and for the radio, and this was about a year before I saw Kiss, and there was a reinvigorated media blitz for the summer of 79, but the summer of 78, the fall of 78, we went into a little bit of detail last week about the excitement of Kiss Meets the Phantom, but yeah, it was pretty amazing to see everybody digging the same thing you're digging. Let me know in the comments what your impressions of that summer and autumn were. I guess if you could call any year the year of Kiss, I mean, for me, again, it would be 79, but 78, I mean, they kind of, folds right in, and yeah, that was definitely Super Kiss at its peak. November 4th asks, what's your favorite Kiss song from each era of the band noted below? And we've got the Originals era covering Kiss through Kiss Alive. My favorite song would be Let Me Know, which it's my favorite Kiss song overall, so that's not a big surprise. The Land of Hype and Glory years covers Destroyer through Alive 2, and my favorite from that era would have to be Making Love. It's intoxicating. It's pure rock. It's aggression. It's sexuality. It's raw. It's vital. I love Making Love. The solo album years have to be from my favorite solo album, and probably the standout from that is I'm in Need of Love. It's got a great bass line. I mean, everything about that song is great. The way the solo's structured, there's bits of odd time in there. It keeps you on your toes. It's an active listen. The disco years, Dynasty and Unmasked, as I've mentioned, summer of 79 for me is the Kiss year. So Dynasty definitely has the edge out of those records. And the last track, Save Your Love. Ace is just on fire. The 80s. Now this is where I yield an unpopular opinion, but Only You. I had to do some thinking about this one. I mean, I love Under the Rose as well. I'm a big Elder guy. And there's a lot of great stuff to choose from. Saint and Sinner, man, some days that's my favorite. I remember when Lick It Up came out, getting to know that record. Fits Like a Glove was ferocious. I mean, it was really hard making a couple of these choices. The 90s, for me, again, probably an unpopular opinion, but Childhood's End. I'm not typically a lyric guy, but those lyrics were always intriguing to me. I think it's an atypical Kiss song from an atypical Kiss album. I'm an atypical guy, so I'm going for that. And then finally, the 2000s, Hot and Cold from Sonic Boom. Again, this kind of harkens back to the question about which 80s songs, I'll just say Unmasked era, could fit within the canon of original lineup Kiss. And I think that's why that one stands out for me. And with that, November 4th, it's going to wrap this holiday week edition of Hey Man, Nice Kiss Shirt. I'm bummed out that Powie couldn't join me, but I'm happy that you could. please put your two lips together, kiss that subscribe button, and remember the words of the barbarian. What's his name? Georgi Zindalo Hungaros. And he says, play hard, play fair, nobody hurt.
Hey, man, nice kiss shirt.
It's the Remco.
Yeah.